name's Kristen, and I'm here to talk with you today about grounding. So, grounding is one of the most foundational skills that I teach pretty much all of my clients that I work with. Um, Grounding is essentially being able to stay present and oriented both to the time, the place of the current moment, the room that you're in, but also your body. I think sometimes it's really helpful to be able to revisit old emotions, definitely old memories, stuff like that. Certainly in therapy work, we are doing that. And sometimes it's really not helpful. Sometimes we get intrusive thoughts, we get intrusive memories, and they're distracting. Or if you're just having a hard time concentrating, grounding is a really great skill to be able to utilize and kind of put in your proverbial toolbox of things to know to do to try to help yourself to stay present. So what I'm going to walk you through today is one of my favorite grounding exercises. I love it because you can do it anywhere, anytime, and you don't even necessarily have to let anybody know you're doing it. You can just do it in your head. One of the great things about the human mind is that it doesn't necessarily know the difference between you doing something in real life or doing something kind of imaginatively in your mind. So this is a great thing to have. This is a very simple grounding exercise, but I have to just kind of give this disclaimer that just because it's simple does not mean it's easy. There is a difference there. Very often when we're in a state of being distracted or maybe anxious or maybe verging on being dissociated or in a flashback, your physiology is going into a fight or flight mode. And when we are practicing grounding, we are actively working against our physiology, what our physiology wants to do at that moment. So though it might seem easy to kind of hear me walk through this, I do want you to know to have patience with this exercise and compassion for yourself and to keep trying it because it really isn't an easy thing, even though it's simple. Another quick note about grounding too is that this is something you can even use in your therapy sessions, and I would absolutely encourage you to do so because therapy is a place where we are revisiting painful emotions and difficult things and maybe stuff we've never even talked about. It's great to be able to do both the revisiting and also feeling like I can stay present in the moment and safe and grounded and kind of understand that the past is in the past. So let's get started with the grounding exercise, and it is called the 5 senses grounding exercise. So we are going to go through all of our senses, and just kind of as a adaptive thing here, if you don't have the time, the ability, or kind of the safety to be able to do all 5 of your senses, you don't have to. But it is nice to be able, if you can, to run through all 5 of them. So for sake of, I guess, just running through this, let's just start with our eyes. And if you just look around the room that you're in and kind of let your gaze go wherever it wants to go and let it kind of just rest on something. And really notice what it is that your eyes are looking at and start to describe that to yourself, either out loud or in your head. So for sake of demonstration, I'll just say that I can see black leather and stitching and something that looks like it's textured. I can see the corner of a desk. It's kind of rounded. And if I let my gaze go down towards the floor a little more, I can see the corner of my rug. It's red and gray. It's also textured and it looks fuzzy. Okay, so of course, if you are doing this on your own, you can take as long as you want to go through each of your senses and spend as much time as you need to. For the interest of time, though, and the people that are going to be watching this all the way through, I'm gonna move on. So we did our eyes, and let's just move out to our ears and notice for a second. What do we hear? Your own breathing, maybe a fan, traffic. I often hear from my clients that have tinnitus or ringing in their ears that they will hear ringing in their ears at this point. That's totally fine. Some folks that are hard of hearing will tell me they can't hear anything, and that's fine too. If you just notice what it's like to not hear anything, the idea is to just be present with what is happening for you with that particular sense at that moment. You can hear the creaking of my home and the breathing of my dog. Okay, so let's move on now to our sense of smell. This is often one of the most grounding senses for people. It's also kind of difficult because we are in the same environment so often, and we habituate to the smells that we do smell, and then often we habituate to our own smell. So let's be patient for a second and just kind of drop in and take a deep breath and see what we smell. See what we smell. Smell what we smell. Maybe it's chapstick or lotion that you used at some point. Some sort of something like fabric softener or something that's on your clothes, maybe. Maybe it's a smell from the space around you if you're outside. Maybe you can get a faint smell of something outside. Maybe it's an animal in the room. Just take a minute and see what you smell. Another thing that I encourage a lot of my clients to do that do want to regularly use this 5 senses grounding technique is to have something on hand that they can use to ground in terms of smell. It would be something that's pretty strong. A lot of folks prefer mints or essential oils. Candles are nice for some people, air fresheners. The important part, if you want to be intentional so that you can smell something, is that you're not using something that's paired with a negative memory or a negative time in your life. So you want to use something that's either neutral or is a pleasant smell for you. Okay, so we've done our eyes and our ears and our nose. Let's move on to our sense of touch. So we could actually even just start doing this and just noticing what our fingertips feel like. And orienting to touch this way. You might notice your fingernails. You might be able to feel some variation in your skin texture, temperature. And then just take your hands and find somewhere for them to land and just notice how it feels wherever they are. If it's a piece of clothing, if it's what you're sitting on, if it's something you're holding. and either describe to yourself or out loud how that feels. And again, taking as much time as you want here and being as deliberate, as intentional as possible. So I would say soft, textured, bumpy, and warm. Maybe you can also feel your breath going in and out of your nose, the tip of your nose. It's cooler when you breathe in and warmer when you breathe out. Maybe you can also feel a rise and the fall of your chest or your shoulders when you breathe. This is all orienting to touch. Maybe you can feel what it is you're sitting on from your seat bones, your pelvis area, or you can feel what you're standing on. If you can feel your feet on the ground right now. Okay, so we are going to move on now to our last sense of taste. And this is another one that can be kind of tricky unless we're paying really close attention, because you're walking around with your mouth all day and we tend to habituate to what we taste. So be patient here and take a minute and really explore what you might taste right now. And sometimes if you can push like the tip of your tongue to your roof of your mouth, or maybe try to see what the middle of your tongue feels like versus the back, you'll get different sensations. And just notice what you taste or what you feel on your tongue, if anything. What we will do for some folks here is similar to what I mentioned with the sense of smell, is to pair a strong or pleasant something to chew on or to suck on, or to maybe like a minted toothpick, to pair that with the grounding exercise, so that over time the association is created that that particular taste is associated with grounding. Something like a piece of candy or a breath mint or some gum, something that isn't already paired, and especially nothing that's paired with like a negative memory. Certainly we wouldn't want to do that. Same rules as before, but you can absolutely do that if kind of just diving right into the sense of taste and kind of just trying to find what it is that you taste somewhere on your mouth is kind of stressing you out more. We don't want to do that. Let's just add something in, like a breath mint, and go from there, and just orient to taste that way. Okay, so we have gone through the entire exercise. And again, you can go through that as quickly as you want or as slowly as you want, or you can modify it if you want to orient to sight and sound real quick, if you want to orient to touch and sound real quick. You can do that. You don't have to go through all 5 of them at one time. Definitely consider bringing in the additives with smell and taste if you want to. And I hope that this was helpful. If you want to stay in touch, I have a newsletter that I send out just about every week. Go to cultivateconsciously.com and sign up there. I'm not going to send you anything but the newsletter. It is what it is. And drop me a comment below if you liked it or if you want to know more information. Subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks.